Today is Monday, May 15th, 2017, and today we got to talk about the new Miss USA, Miss Kara McCullough, who comes from Washington, D.C. as Miss D.C. 2017. A quick note before I get into a little bit more of the story. Deshauna Barber was also crowned Miss USA last year, and she was also Miss Washington, D.C. Matter of fact, Deshauna Barber crowned Kara McCullough the new D.C. after her crown was vacated, or after it had to get pushed over to her in the next year. Fun fact, but I'm going to digress. Now, this situation with Miss Kara McCullough has kind of blown up a little bit online because of the Landwells, the butthurt feminists that are talking about her views on feminism and healthcare not being that of which Miss USA represent. I disagree 100%. I think they chose a great person, beautiful person, 5'10", nice look, very brilliant person. She's actually a nuclear scientist in Washington, D.C., only 25 years old. Imagine that, a 25-year-old woman as an actual scientist, unlike Bill Nye, the mechanical engineer guy, but I digress. A great candidate for Miss USA and also Miss Universe, if you ask me. But people have their ideological differences, and it's funny how a lot of these so-called feminists want to pretty much throw her under the bus, even though she's a woman, beautiful, accomplished, independent, whatever you want to call it. So she should be somebody that they champion. But since her views are different than theirs and they don't champion her, they want to throw her under the bus. But without getting too far down the rabbit hole, what I want to do right now is play the video of what she said. And then after we get done with that, I'll talk about her comments a little bit more, and I'll give my 2 cents on the reaction and et cetera, et cetera. So without further ado, go ahead and roll it.
What do you consider feminism to be? And do you consider yourself a feminist?
Yes, you do. Absolutely, you get a microphone. Here we go.
So as a woman scientist in the government, I've liked to lately transpose the word feminism to equalism. I don't really want to consider myself, try not to consider myself like this, like die hard, you know, like, oh, I don't really care about men. But one thing I'm going to say is, though, women, we are just as equal as men when it comes to opportunity in the workplace.
Yep.
And I say firsthand, I have witnessed the impact that women have in leadership in the medical sciences as well as just in the office environment. So as Miss USA, I would hope to promote that type of leadership responsibility globally to so many women worldwide.
Do you think affordable health care for all U.S. citizens is a right or a privilege, and why?
I'm definitely going to say it's a privilege. As a government employee, I am granted health care. And I see firsthand that for one, to have health care, you need to have jobs.
Yep.
So therefore, we need to continue to cultivate this environment that we're given the opportunity to have health care as well as jobs to all the American citizens worldwide.
Thank you, District of Columbia.
Okay, so you heard what she said. You saw what she said. Now, I don't see anything wrong with that. I want to get to the first things first. Let's go talk about healthcare. Now, she said it's a privilege and not a right. I don't see how anybody can disagree with that, because the way people say it, when they say it's a right, that means that you should get it automatically, like you are entitled to it. That's what they mean. When they say it's a right, that means that you're entitled to it. You're not entitled to healthcare, right? You're just not. Because if you are entitled to healthcare, that means that you are entitled to somebody else's labor. You are entitled to conscript. You are entitled to get someone to do something for you for free. Now, we had that in the USA at one point in time, but that got abolished in 1865 with the 13th Amendment. So I don't think we can do that anymore, to force people to work for you for free, because that's what they want. Now, some would say, oh, we can just do it with the taxes. You know, you can get free healthcare through taxes. But again, you're still forcing somebody to do something they don't want to do, really. What if I don't want healthcare? So you're going to tax me anyway? See, you have a right to pursue happiness. You have a right to different things, but you don't have a right really to coerce me to do something I don't want to do, or to make me work for you just because you want me to, against my own wishes. So you don't have the right to health care. You have the ability as an American to be able to try to go out there and get it. That's what she said, talking about the jobs and whatnot. Now I understand people talking to people that are poor, they're unemployed, whatever. But the whole purpose is to try to get our nation back rocking and rolling the way it used to be. So people are able to afford to save, people are able to afford to have these things that they need. It's the same way if you say that eating food is a right. Is it really? I mean, you got the right to eat pretty much whatever you want, you know, but at the end of the day, am I required to farm some food for somebody to eat? Is it the government's job to make me be a farmer to feed you? Is it the government's job for a restaurant to sell their food that they had to buy and take time in preparing and pay people to be able to store, ship, et cetera, et cetera? Is it their responsibility to be able to give you that for free? If that's what's going on, then I think that's just the wrong way to go about it, right? You should be able to sell whatever you want without having the government come in and say, well, because this person has a right to it, then they shouldn't pay. Because at the end of the day, that is a conversation that's being had. You should be able to get healthcare for free. You do not have the right to get healthcare for free because, like I said, that requires you to take someone else's labor for free or to make someone else pay a tax they don't want to pay for healthcare that they don't want. And the thing about healthcare is that if it was a right, then you should have the right to refuse it. So if you say that it's going to be forced or given to people through taxes, then how can that be? So how can it be a right at the same time when you're forcing it from me? If it's a right, then I should have the right to decline or accept. But I'm going to go ahead and move on. Now, her next thing about feminism, we all know what she meant. She's not one of these, you know, bull daggers looking like a dude I used to roof houses with or a dude I used to compact trash with his feet with. You know, she's not one of those kind of people. Obviously, she's in the beauty pageant. That's the main thing that kind of got me. It's like, why are these women that look like Hulk Hogan in the face talking about feminism and the beauty pageant like it kind of meshes? In my opinion, it doesn't really mesh. You're talking about the epitome of femininity, admiring the qualities of what makes a woman in the beauty pageant, right? So I don't understand how you can look at a very feminine thing like a beauty pageant and then equate that to feminism. What she said about not really caring about guys, they took as hating men. Even though she didn't say anything about hating men, she said didn't care about guys. That can be interpreted different ways. You can think about it as hating men because feminism pretty much is that. I mean, some would say that it's not. Someone said it's been co-opted, but as we know about it today, as it's been discussed right now today in 2017 in the most wide and vocal circles, that's pretty much what it means. It means that you hate men. You're an misandrist. You know, they got the whole thing about misogyny, but on the other end of that, you can hate men as well. But I'm gonna move on. We know what she meant by that. She's not one of these, you know, masculine women. She's a woman. She admires her femininity. She appreciates her own femininity, and I appreciate that about her. Beautiful woman. I think more need to be like her. Even in her career as a career woman, as an actual scientist, nuclear scientist, she's still very feminine, and I appreciate that. I think what's happening with the feminists online that are hating on her, they're jealous of her. Maybe they would desire her body, her looks, her height, her position, her femininity, you know, the way she speaks, how she carries herself, to have had her father in her life, to get her on the right path, and to have her, give her a brain in her head. I think they are envious of that. They see in her what they like, and they wish it could be like. So since they can't get it, since they're not able to obtain what she has, what they do is go the total opposite route, put on a pair of Timberland boots and jeans and whatnot to make themselves be more masculine. I think that's what's going on, but maybe I'm wrong about that. If you have any other suggestion as to why they're hating on her because of her stance on feminism, please let me know in the box. But at the end of the day, as I close here, I love her, you know, beautiful woman, 5'10", 25 years old, got a nice career going on. I think this woman will make any man a great wife and a great mother. I think we need to have more women like her out there in the world rather than these blue-haired, screeching, crazy women. But that's pretty much all I'm going to say about it. What do you think? Do you think her views on healthcare and feminism are pretty much on point? That healthcare is not a right, it's a privilege. And if it is a right, that means that you must take someone else's labor by force. And again, I said we had that at one point in the USA where you were able to take labor by force, but that has been since abolished. Hopefully we don't have anyone trying to bring that back. But hey, maybe we got a few people out there that are still stuck in 200 years ago, but I'm going to go ahead and move on. Or do you think what you said about healthcare and feminism is incorrect? Do you think feminism is needed? Do you think we need to have more women be forcibly placed in certain positions. I mean, my thing about that, as I close real this time, I think women gravitate towards what they want to do. You know, you don't have as many women that are in Silicon Valley because maybe they don't want to sit in front of a computer all day and deal with numbers. Maybe they're not interested in doing things like that. It's the same reason why you don't have that many male nurses. 90% of nurses are women. So maybe, just maybe, women are better at doing that. Maybe, just maybe, they like to do that more. It doesn't have to be this whole big sexist thing. Just because you have disparities in genders in different positions, different jobs, does not mean it's some sexist thing. And also about money, the whole gender gap is BS because it's based upon unequal people. When you're talking about the amount of work they give, I was reading this stat some years ago that was talking about the gender gap, but it failed to mention the difference in the amount of hours that were worked in a year. So of course, it's going to be less money made from male to female when you have like 200 less hours per year. Of course, that just makes common logical sense. But once you really compare apples to apples rather than apples to oranges, and when I say that, I mean unmarried woman, no kids, unmarried male, no kids, and combine them together, and you really see how much money they make. A lot of times, the woman may make more. The woman may actually make more in that situation because she's a woman. It just is what it is. So you can look at things different ways, but at the end of the day, I think that feminism, all these different things aren't really needed, but whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.
And I see firsthand that for one, to have healthcare, you need to have jobs. Yep. So therefore, we need to continue to cultivate this environment that we're given the opportunity to have healthcare as well as jobs to all the American citizens worldwide.